Jenny is with us in
Oh boy, Dave Ramsey, a baby boomer idol, but is his advice still sound in the modern age? Let's see.
Nashville. Hi, Jenny. How are you?
Hey, Dave. Love your show.
Thank you. How can I help?
Well, my husband and I are wondering, should we combine our finances?
Yes.
No.
If you want a quality marriage, and if you want a high probability of building wealth.
There's a lot more to a quality marriage than combining finances.
Okay. There's an article I was just picked up that James handed me the other day that says, when you're married, don't rely on a joint bank account because nearly half of the marriages end in divorce, and the woman always gets screwed, and she doesn't end up with the money, and you need to be independent of your husband.
Well, I would say that probably more men get screwed in divorce than women. So I don't know that that statement is correct.
Or you're not going to win, and this was CNBC, and that's a bunch of crap. It's an absolute load of crap, and here's why, okay? 100% of the time that where you spend your money and how you spend your money is a result of your value systems.
Now that's important, making sure that the person you are married to, you share similar values. But you don't need a joint bank account to share values.
Jesus said it this way, he said, your treasures were...
And I always find it interesting that Dave will quote Jesus or the Bible for financial advice. Not to say that Jesus and the Bible are not full of great advice, but I just don't know that I would look to the Bible as my financial advisor.
Where your heart is. When you plan your money out together,
and yes, absolutely, plan your money out together, but that still doesn't mean having joint bank accounts.
You are sharing your fears. You are sharing your dreams.
And you should absolutely share your fears and share your dreams with your partner.
You are sharing your goals, and we together are reaching for those things. Now, you have a vote, you get to help decide, both of you get to decide. I'm not saying...
And I agree with all of that.
That you lose your personal identity in this?
Absolutely not. You should certainly keep your personal identity. That's a lot of what attracted you to your partner in the first place.
And divorce laws give you all kinds of protection in the event of a divorce, so that's a bunch of...
Well, for any protection, there's also an offense too. For any defense, there's an offense too. So any protection that you may think exists, there's also a vulnerability.
Garbage. And besides that, 50% of the marriages that we deal with do not end in divorce.
Now here Dave likes to massage the statistics to say that the divorce rate is lower than it actually is by only focusing on a select group of people.
Because they start handling their money together. So yes, you ought to combine.
And it's not because they start handling their money together, it's because he doesn't factor in when somebody has a child before marriage, which is quite common, when somebody doesn't go to college, which a lot of people don't go to college. He doesn't factor in a whole lot of different things into what he considers his marriage statistic.
Combine your finances, yes, you ought to combine your checking account, yes, you ought to combine your decision making.
Yes, combine your decision making. No, don't combine your checking account. Why? Because as soon as you put money into a joint account, all the creditors of your spouse become creditors of yours, and all the creditors of yours become creditors of your spouse. What you want is a strong spouse, a spouse whose assets are protected. You don't want to take all of your liability and throw it at your spouse. That's a terrible idea. That's going to cause more financial stress, and that's probably going to more likely end up in your marriage ending in divorce. Dave, you are wrong about this one.
On your finances, you'll make better decisions, you'll be wiser, it forces communication in your marriage. And here's what happened, Jenny. I didn't even know all that. When I first started teaching this stuff, when I was teaching a class, I was teaching at my church, I made everybody do their budget together, but it wasn't from a relational standpoint. I made them do the budget together because it's impractical to run two sets of books in a household. It's very difficult to get it to hit the same goal. And I forced everybody to combine their goals and to sit down and work the baby steps together.
Absolutely. You should know what your goals are, what your partner's goals are, and you should work to those together. But no reason to bring in extra liability. Take what strengths you have and play to the strengths. Don't make yourself weaker.
Do all the, combine all their assets and everything, and, it's for richer, for poor, and sickness and in health. Unto thee, all my worldly goods I pledge. That's what the old-fashioned marriage vows say. And what ended up happening was people came back and they said, we were about to get divorced and you saved our marriage. I'm like, I didn't save your marriage. This wasn't a marriage.
And a lawsuit could destroy a marriage too.
Marriage class, and they kept, Dave, we had a good marriage before. Another couple said this, and now we got a great marriage. And you forced us to share our future. You forced us to communicate. You forced us.
Communicate, absolutely, share your future, but use what tools which are available to you to keep yourself protected.
And it was better than any marriage counselor we'd ever been to. And I kept hearing this over and over and over and over and over again, and now 30 years later, I'm 1,000% sure.
You're 1,000% wrong, Dave. You're missing something on this. Everything you said is right about shared goals, shared beliefs, shared values, but don't share liability.
By the way, I found all kinds of research since then that shows the data points are that very few people build wealth without their spouse participating.
Participate, absolutely participate, but don't bring them into your troubles.
Very few people live a marriage as if you're roommates and build wealth. It almost never
Roommate marriage sounds like a terrible idea.
happens. Marriage is grand, divorce is 50 grand, and when you live separately, you're going to
Divorce can be much more than 50 grand.
end up living separately. Combine your finances.
Combine your life, but don't bring in your partner's problems any more than you absolutely have to.